Charter Communications. Shares held, 5,213,461. Holding value, $3,254,972,000. Percent of portfolio, 1.42%. Charter Communications, currently at $641.41. Markets cable TV, internet, telephone and other services under the Spectrum brand, which is America's second largest cable operator behind Comcast. It greatly expanded its reach in 2016 when it acquired Time Warner Cable and sister company Bright House Networks. And it's also yet another Berkshire Hathaway portfolio holding with a John Malone connection, albeit a small one now. Malone served on the telecom and media company's board of directors from 2013 until 2018, when he stepped down to concentrate his focus on a smaller group of companies. He does remain a director emeritus, however. Buffett entered CHTR in the second quarter of 2014, but he has seemingly lost his love for the telecom company in recent years. His position has been trimmed down from 9.4 million shares in early 2017 to just 5.2 million shares as of Berkshire's most recent 13F, including a 210,000 share reduction in Q2 2020. Charter remains a decent position in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio, at 1.4% of its equity assets, and that's good news for Buffett. Shares have well more than doubled the broader market's performance with a 32% gain. U.S. Bancorp. Shares held, 131,961,832. Holding value, $4,730,833,000. Percent of portfolio, 2.07%. U.S. Bancorp, currently at $44.28, is the nation's fifth largest bank by assets and America's biggest regional bank. ETH, also one of the oldest Buffett stocks in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio, the Oracle of Omaha initiated his position in the first quarter of 2006. Buffett is notoriously tight-lipped about U.S. Bancorp, but U.S. Bancorp shares have been a solid pick. The lender has consistently generated the highest returns among the top 10 banks, and it has delivered a total return of 114% since March 31, 2006, versus a 38% gain for the financial sector. After scraping a little of the position in Q2 2020, a 0.2% trimming, Berkshire Hathaway left U.S. Bancorp alone. That patience stands in stark contrast to what Buffett did to the likes of PNC and JP Morgan. U.S. Bancorp shareholders no doubt appreciate that stability. Berkshire's 8.8% stake makes it the largest institutional shareholder, ahead of Vanguard, 7.3%, and BlackRock, 6.5%. Moody's. Shares held, 24,669,778. Holding value, $7,150,535,000. Percent of portfolio, 3.12%. The holding is meaningful on Berkshire's end too. At more than 3%, Moody's is a top 10 Buffett stock. Moody's, currently at $275.54, is a business and financial services firm best known for its Moody's Investors Service credit rating arm, one of the three major American business credit ratings agencies alongside Standard & Poor's and Fitch Ratings. It also offers financial analysis technology via Moody's Analytics. Moody's is a long-time, significant holding in the Berkshire Hathaway portfolio, and an ironic one to boot. Uncle Warren first dipped his toe in during the first quarter of 2001, and he has been content with his investment of late, leaving his 24.7 million share stake unchanged over the past couple of years. The funny thing about Berkshire's holding in Moody's is that Buffett said back in 2010 that our job is to rate credit ourselves. We do not outsource that to ratings agencies. Yet Berkshire Hathaway is the largest institutional holder of Moody's, owning 13.1% of the financial firm. Vanguard is a distant second at 7.4%. Kraft Heinz. Shares held, 325,634,818. Holding value, $9,752,763,000. Percent of portfolio, 4.26%. Kraft Heinz, currently at $32.15, has gone back to underperforming the market in 2020 after enjoying some bear market outperformance. But despite the fact that Warren Buffett likely still regrets his participation in what was one of his biggest deals of the past decade, Berkshire's position in Kraft Heinz went untouched in Q3 2020. Buffett was one of the driving forces behind the 2015 merger of packaged food giant Kraft and ketchup purveyor Heinz to create Kraft Heinz. It's Berkshire's sixth largest stock investment with a market value of $8.1 billion. However, Berkshire Hathaway recorded a $3 billion non-cash loss from an impairment of intangible assets in 2018, arising almost entirely from our equity interest in Kraft Heinz. Buffett wrote in his 2019 letter to shareholders. In early 2019, Kraft Heinz wrote down the value of its brands by nearly $15 billion. This year, Fitch downgraded the company's debt-to-junk status. Its second quarter earnings beat expectations, but Kraft still had to record yet another $2.9 billion in impairments. Things looked better for Kraft in Q3. The company topped revenue and earnings expectations and upgraded its full-year guidance. But that has done little to alter the stock's status as a dud in the Berkshire Hathaway equity portfolio. I was wrong about Kraft Heinz, Buffett flatly admitted on CNBC in 2019. Buffett says he overpaid, and it's difficult to disagree. Even including dividends, Kraft's shares have lost nearly 45% of their value on total return basis since September 30, 2015. But Berkshire Hathaway remains the company's second largest shareholder with a 26.6% stake. Private investment firm 3G Capital, who teamed up with Berkshire in 2013 to purchase H.J. Heinz, is tops at 46.7%. American Express. Shares held, 151,610,700. Holding value, $15,198,971,000. Percent of portfolio, 6.64%. American Express, currently at $118.67, continues to endure as one of Warren Buffett's favorite investments. Buffett likes to say his preferred holding period is forever, and Amex is one of the premier examples. Berkshire entered its initial stake in the credit card company in 1963, when a struggling Amex badly needed capital. Buffett obliged, getting favorable terms on his investment. He has played the role of white knight many times over the years, including during the 2008 financial crisis, as a means to get stakes in good companies at a discount. Think Goldman Sachs and Bank of America. No one would have been surprised if Buffett had trimmed his American Express position sometime during the course of 2020. After all, Berkshire has been dumping financial stocks all year, and he even trimmed his stakes in payments processors during Q2. American Express is both. And yet the position remains fully intact 3 quarters into 2020. Berkshire Hathaway, which owns 18.8% of American Express shares outstanding, is by far the company's largest shareholder. Number 2 Vanguard owns 5.9%. Buffett praised the power of Amex's brand at Berkshire's 2019 annual meeting. "It's a fantastic story, and I'm glad we own 18% of it," he said. Of course he's glad. A roughly 1,200% total return over the past quarter century would make most investors glow. Coca-Cola. Shares held, 400 million. Holding value, $19,748 million. Percent of portfolio, 8.63%. Coca-Cola, currently at $53.85, was the largest of the Warren Buffett stocks to go untouched this past quarter. Buffett, an unabashed fan of cherry Coke, started investing in Coca-Cola stock soon after the stock market crash of 1987. In his 1988 letter to Berkshire shareholders, Buffett said he expected to hold onto the stock for a long time. 3 decades later, he has proven true to his word. Berkshire is Coca-Cola's largest shareholder with 9.3% of its shares outstanding. Coca-Cola made a brief appearance as a component of the Dow Jones Industrial Average in the 1930s. Shares were added back to the Dow in 1987, and they've remained a stalwart member ever since. While Coca-Cola's stock performance hasn't impressed, its 131% total return over the past decade is well behind the S&P 500's 272% return. It has been an income investor's dream. The beverage maker has increased its dividend annually for 58 years. Bank of America. Shares held, 1,010,100,606. Holding value, $24,333,323,000. Percent of portfolio, 10.63%. Buffett has spent most of 2020 hacking and slashing at his various bank stock holdings. But he remains more committed than ever to Bank of America, currently at $27.58. Buffett's interest in Bank of America dates back to 2011, when he swooped in to shore up the firm's finances in the wake of the Great Recession. In exchange for investing $5 billion in the firm, Berkshire received preferred stock yielding 6% and warrants giving Berkshire the right to purchase Bank of America common stock at a steep discount. The Oracle of Omaha exercised those warrants in 2017, netting a $12 billion profit in the process. Warren Buffett let go of 2.2 million Bank of America shares in Q4 2019, but that represented a mere 0.2% reduction. And while he cut heavily into various bank holdings in Q1 and Q2 of this year, he stayed pat on Bank of America. Then in the third quarter, Buffett added to Berkshire's already large position by buying more than 85 million shares. The stake in Bank of America, worth $24.33 billion, accounts for 10.6% of the holding company's total portfolio value. Meanwhile, Berkshire is Bank of America's largest shareholder, at 11.7% of its shares outstanding. Apple. Shares held, 944,295,554. Holding value, $109,358,868,000. Percent of portfolio, 47.78%. I don't think of Apple as a stock, Warren Buffett has said about Apple, currently at $120.30. I think of it as our third business. It might as well be. Even after Buffett sold off a little bit of Berkshire's Apple stake in Q3, the tech giant represents nearly half of assets in the Berkshire Hathaway equity portfolio. Buffett has belted out numerous songs of praise for Apple, the undisputed king of the Buffett stocks. Shares in the nearly $2 trillion company now make up nearly 48% of Berkshire's equity holdings, and that's after the firm unloaded about 36 million shares, or 3% of its stake. The Oracle of Omaha has only occasionally dabbled in technology stocks. But he bought Apple with 2 fists, and he's more than happy to discuss his ardor for Apple. As he has said more than once on CNBC, he loves the power of Apple's brand and its ecosystem of products, such as the iPhone and iPad, and services, such as Apple Pay and iTunes. It's probably the best business I know in the world, Buffett said in February. And that is a bigger commitment that we have in any business except insurance and the railroad. Berkshire is Apple's third largest investor with a 944 million share stake representing about 5.4% of all shares outstanding. Only Vanguard and BlackRock, giants of the passively managed index fund universe, hold more Apple stock.